We're going to jump into the top 5 stories. The number 5 top story is Subculture Evolution. This is from Elvis Mercury, 6 comments, 17 and 46 cents, May 14th, mostly harmless territory. Keyan, what's this?
Yeah. All right, we're going 5 to 1. Yeah. Let me see if I can remember my reading on this. I think Elvis does. He ties together several things, and he's always making a very deep point, like gently, which is like kind of an expert level thing to do. But he's just broadly talking about Bitcoin and like our sentiment towards the outside world, and yeah, I guess that's roughly what he talks about. He compares it to. It basically says that people in subcultures often take on this point of view that they are sort of superior to the others, and then he pulls his own memory trying to check whether that works out well, or whether that's like a justified thing, having that point of view. And he applies that to Bitcoiners who have that point of view. And then, he also links to another post about audience capture, and which is like part of the dynamic that happens in subcultures where people begin serving the needs of other people in the subculture because it helps elevate them in the subculture. And then they get power within the subculture, and then it kind of reinforces the group and makes them stronger.
Wait, I don't get it. So you're saying that they make themselves into...
Whoa.
Yeah, this Elvis shared this very early as a stacker, and it was a great post about audience capture. And you can kind of look around Bitcoin and see where that's happening. I think that's kind of his point. Is there's this happens at sort of all levels. You have a type of Bitcoiner who maybe is at the top, and they're serving their audience by saying things like deep state because that's what they want to hear, right? And then you also have smaller levels. Someone who has a small following on Twitter saying things that because they know that people will like it and retweet it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then part of that is just, saying things about people who don't own Bitcoin, saying things about Bitcoiners who disagree with you slightly. And subculture stuff is, I like culture stuff in general. But yeah, subcultures are really common on the internet, more common, I would say, than before the internet.
They're proliferated by the internet.
Yeah, the internet, that's one of the internet's powers, is allowing them to exist.
Which is cool. Everybody has their own community.
Yeah.
On the internet.
Yeah, and I think what part, I think what might have motivated Elvis a little bit is that we're seeing Bitcoin subculture kind of diffuse and more or less kind of, at least the parts of it that are true, just become true more generally, where we're seeing traditional financial companies and stuff begin adopting Bitcoin.
Yeah, it looks like this was from EK's post. He derived
EK's
from,
post.
Yeah, derived from this one. This is EK's photo.
And even though this post wasn't about op return at all, there was still an op return comment.
Really?
Yeah.
What did it say?
It said you just described the op return skirmish.
Oh, that's probably what motivated it.
I don't know. Maybe.
Did you read this post, Jenna?
I got mentioned in this one, yeah. Down there at the bottom. For having such enormous potential that everyone can see.
Wow. It's like
yeah,
glowing
the interview
review.
Yeah.
5 stars from EK.
Yeah.
So what is he saying? I guess, so how is this all related to the previous one, though? I guess that's where I'm like, is he saying that Pleb Poet is a subculture of... Yeah. Oh,
No.
EK's right there. So what is he?
So Elvis Mercury read my post, and in my post I mentioned that Bitcoiners are not very different from normies think it's just a tiny difference that makes all the difference. And yeah, that Elvis McCoury basically picked up that line and wanted to reply to my post, but it became so big it became its own post. And I found it quite funny that it felt like my post had a baby.
Okay, I think I get it now. Cool. Cool. Keyan, you got anything else?
No, I think that'll do it. I
Cool.
should have commented on this. I would have had more to say, but
Yeah.
because I would have been forced to think about my thoughts more. But in general, I like thinking. I love this is the type of stuff I like thinking about. It's like human dynamics, culture stuff. I think it's really awesome. I think I think there's a version of me that would have spent a lot more time thinking about these kinds of things and studying them.